Good day, everyone. Today, I will discuss what I learned on CRIM, LEA, and CDI. First, I will discuss my learnings on CRIM followed by LEA and CDI. So, theories of crime causation. But before that, what is theory? Theory is the foundation of criminology and criminal justice. It is any system of ideas arranged in rational order that produce general principle which increase our understanding and explanations. In early theory of crime causation, we have demonological theory. In this theory, it asserts that a person commits wrongful acts due to the fact that he was possessed by demons. So, ibig sabihin, ang mga tao ay nagko-commit ng masasamang gawain sa kadahilan ng sila ay sinasapian ng masasamang elemento o espiritu, and to prevent them from committing further bad things, the only solution is through exorcism o ang proseso ng pag-aalis o pagpapalayas ng demonyo sa katawan ng isang tao upang sa ganon ay maibalik sa tamang pag-iisip ang taong na-possessed. We have classical theory. The advocates of this theory are Cesar Bonesa Marchesa de Vicaria, who is known as the father of classical criminology, together with Jeremy Bentham. Cesar Vicaria was famous for his essays on crimes and punishment, which he presented key ideas on the abolition of torture as legitimate means of extracting confession. He believed that punishment should fit the crime, and the people want to achieve pleasure and avoid pain, and to deter crime, one must administer pain in appropriate amount to counterbalance the pressure obtained from crime. On the other hand, Jeremy Bentham proposed the utilitarian hedonism, which explains that person always acts in such a way to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It asserts that people have the capacity to weigh and calculate between punishment and the benefit or the reward of committing crime. If based on their calculation, the punishment is greater than the benefit or the reward of committing crime, they may not commit the crime if the benefit or reward is greater than punishment, and they commit the crime. This is why they should be punished, because before they committed the crime, they have already calculated its consequences. According to this theory, man is essentially a moral creature with an absolute free will to choose between right and wrong. So tayo ay may kakayahan at kalayaang pumili ng ating gagawing aksyon, so we are responsible in every action that we make. Ibig sabihin, may responsibilidad tayo kung ano man ang magiging resulta ng ating ginawang aksyon, maging masama man ito o mabuti. The basis of criminal liability is human free will, and the purpose of penalty is retribution. So the law of the judge will determine the punishment to be attached to a criminal act and should provide a scale of punishment to all persons committing the same crime, irrespective of age, sex, color, and other circumstances. Neoclassical theory, we have neoclassical theory. This theory argued that there are situations or circumstances that make it impossible to exercise our free will, and this is the reason to exempt the offender from conviction. These circumstances includes children and lunatics. Sabi sa theory na ito, ang mga bata at lunatics ay hindi kinoconsider na criminal because they are deprived of the capacity to exercise free will and should be exempted from criminal liability. Neoclassicists argued that it is not always, since the free will of a person is not absolute. Next is the positivist or Italian theory. This theory emphasize scientific treatment of criminals, not on penalties to be imposed, because it is believed that man is subdued occasionally by a strange and morbid phenomenon which constrains him to do wrong in spite of the contrary to his own violation. This theory maintains that crime, as any act, is a natural phenomenon and is comparable to disaster or calamity. that crime as a social and moral phenomenon which cannot be treated and checked by the imposition of punishment, rather than rehabilitation or the enforcement of individual measurements. The proponents of positivist theory are known as the Holy Three of modern criminology, which include Dr. Cesar Lombroso, the father of modern criminology, and his two students, Enrico Ferri, his best parliamentarian, and Raffaello Gapparo, who were both Italians. Dr. Cesar Lombroso, the father of modern criminology, wrote Crime, Its Causes and Remedies, which contains the classification of criminals. These classifications are born criminals, which is based on the belief that criminal behavior is inherited. Criminal by passion, a person who commits crime due to the extreme emotion, impulse of the moment, fit of passion, greater anger or jealousy. We have criminaloid, an individual who commits crime because of weak self-control or less physical stigma. We have also insane criminals, who is a person who commits crime by reason of his psychological disorder or mental abnormalities. We have occasional criminal, one who commits crime due to insignificant reason that push them to do at a given situation. And lastly is pseudo-criminal, an individual who kills a person in a self-defense. Karagdagan pa rito, si Enrico Ferri is an author of The Theory of Imputable and Denial of Free Will. He agreed with Lombroso on the biological basis of criminal behavior, but his interest in socialism led him to recognize the importance of social, economic, and political determinants. His great contribution was his attack on the classical doctrine of free will. He believed that criminals could not be held morally responsible because they did not choose to commit crimes, but rather were driven to commit crimes by conditions in their lives. On the other hand, Rafael Garofalo treated the roots of the criminal behavior not to physical feature but to their psychological equivalence, which he referred to as moral anomalies. He classified criminals as murderers, violent criminals, deficient criminals, and lascivious criminals. So, let's proceed to LEA. What I learned to this subject LEA is the globalization, which refers to the process by which regional economies, societies, and culture, as well as information, ideas, and even authority become integrated by a global network of political ideas through communication, transportation, and trade. Ang lahat ng mga pagbabago na nararanasan natin ay bunga ng globalisasyon, mula pagbabago sa transportasyon, komunikasyon, kalakalan, infrastruktura, trabaho, kultura, organisasyon, industrialisasyon. And because of this globalization, transnational crime occur. This transnational crime is an activity that is considered a criminal offense by at least two countries. It is an offense whose inception or prevention and indirect effects involves one country. And the word transnational describe crimes that are not only international but crimes that by nature involve border crossing as an essential part of the criminal activity. It also includes crimes that take place in one country to another country, but its consequences significantly affect another country. Example of transnational crime is money laundering. Money laundering is a process through which the existence of an illegal source of unlawful application of illicit gains is concealed or disguised to make the gains legitimate, thereby helping to evade detection, prosecution, seizure, and taxation. Another one is drug trafficking. Drug trafficking or illegal drug trade is a global black market activity consisting of production, distribution, packaging, and psychoactive substances. Another example is terrorism. Terrorism is the use of threatened or use of force designed to bring about a political change. Human trafficking. It is the recruitment, transport, harboring, or receipt of a person by such means as threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, or deception for the purpose of exploitation. And the last one is cyber crimes. It is the commission of a criminal acts using the instruments of modern technology such as computer and the internet. Next is, punta naman tayo sa CDI. In this subject, I learned the difference between warrant of arrest and warrantless arrest. But before I start, I will discuss the difference between complaint and information. Okay, complaint is a sworn written statement charging a person or group of person of an offense that is subscribed by the offended party, such as the victims of the offense committed or any peace officer charged with the enforcement of the law violated, while information is an accusation in writing charging a person or a group of person of an offense that is subscribed by the prosecutor or fiscal. It is substantiated on oath and includes the name of the party, the offense committed, facts of the offense, and other factors relevant. So, arrest. Arrest is taking of a person into custody in order that he may be bound to answer for the commission of crime charged against him. There are two types of arrest. First is with warrant of arrest. This is an order in writing issued in the name of the people of the Philippines, signed by a judge or magistrate that directed to a peace officer, commanding him to arrest the person designated and take him into custody of the law in order that he may not be bound to answer for the commission of an offense. Ang validity ng warrant of arrest ay within 10 days from receipt, subject to renewal in case of failure to execute the same. Moreover, search warrant is another order in writing issued in the name of the people of the Philippines, signed by the judge and directed to a peace officer, commanding him to search a particular thing specified in the search warrant as ordered by a competent authority to confiscate, except for cases or instances that contraband is seen by the naked eye, where search warrant is not applicable in flagrante delicto. A search warrant must be served within 10 days from its dates. Thereafter, it shall be void. But this is the question. Can a police officer without warrant can arrest? Yes. And this is what we call the warrantless arrest. This is the arrest that can be made by a peace officer or a private person through the following circumstances. When the person to be arrested has committed, is actually committing, or is attempting to commit an offense. When an offense has just been committed and he has probable cause to believe based on personal knowledge of facts or circumstances that the person to be arrested has committed it. And when a person to be arrested is a prisoner who has escaped from a penal establishment or place where he is serving final judgment or is temporarily confined while his case is pending, or has escaped while being transferred from one confinement to another. So, dito na nagtatapos yung mga natutunan ko sa subject na CRIM, LEA at CDI. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig and have a nice day.